Hey everybody. Sorry about the technical difficulties there. Welcome to another edition of Gen X Thinks Live. And if you're wondering why I'm doing a live stream on Monday, there are a couple reasons. Number one, I just worked a lot this weekend and I didn't have time to record and edit a video. Just exhausted from work and working a lot of hours. So I didn't have time. And I was just going to skip this morning, but I decided to go ahead and do a short live stream. And that goes into the second reason, because I'm trying to live stream to Rumble at the same time. So hopefully this is going to the Rumble app as well. I'm not sure yet. This is kind of an experiment. Obviously it's going out to YouTube the same as it always does, which is good. But afterward, I'll just have to see if my Rumble app, because there's just no way for me to tell from my setup here. So this is kind of an experiment for live streaming to Rumble as well. Vintage, glad to see you here, man. Yeah, we missed you yesterday, dude. At the long live stream, we talked about a lot of crazy stuff. I don't know if you've had a chance to go back and check it out. Lake, straight out of Norway. Bucky, you know what's going on. Yeah, but today I was just going to talk about, just do a short live stream about American politics. I really didn't know if anybody would be here to talk to. It's kind of a spur of the moment thing. I normally upload a video, as y'all know, but so I didn't honestly know if anybody would be on here to talk to. So I was just going to talk about American politics a little bit. And for those of you who've never seen it, there's a comedy called The Campaign. It's Zach Galifianakis and Will Ferrell are the stars of the movie. And that pretty much sums up American politics. That is how it goes. And but if you haven't seen that, to describe to you how American politics works, and this isn't going out to people of other countries and stuff. This is going out mainly to Americans, because citizens of the United States really don't understand how this shit works. And we're the ones who need to understand it more, right? So, like big corporations and stuff, or these institutions, these financial institutions and stuff, will use these shell corporations to finance these politicians. They'll find a politician and they'll get basically the dumbest son of a bitch they can find, all right, that has no morals, you know? And when they find somebody like that, you know, they'll just throw a piece of paper or something in front of them and say, hey, you know, will you read this? You know, will you tell your constituents this for 50 grand? I'll give you 50 grand if you'll read that to your constituents. And they'll read it and they'll say yes or no. Hell no, I'm not reading this shit. I don't care how much money you gave me. Okay, see you later. But if the dumb son of a bitch says, oh yeah, 50 grand, hell yeah, I'll say this shit, then, you know, then they're in. And then they get blackmail, right? Blackmail, invite the person to a party, get them in there with some illegal activity, drugs, underage, whatever, and then now you got blackmail material on them, and you know, and then they're basically controlled, and they have to be stupid. They have to be stupid, dumb enough to fall for all this shit, right? But they have to be glib. That's the only skill they need. They just need to be able to get up there in front of a bunch of people and lie their asses off in a really likable way, right? They got to be able to be suave and talk shit, okay? They got to be a bullshitter. They don't have to be smart. They don't have to be, you know, they just got to be a good bullshitter and be able to sell out their countrymen have that ability to sell out your countrymen for your own financial gain. And now here's the thing that most people don't understand. What these huge corporations will do, or these huge shell corporations, institutions, whatever, they'll find two of them in the same area, right? And run one as a Democrat and one as a Republican. Okay? And just give them different shit to say. And then they tell America that we have the freedom of choice. You can pick one of these two people. Now, both of those idiots are bought and paid for 100%. They don't care which one we pick. Either one is, well, I don't care which puppet you pick. They're both my puppets. They're going to dance on my strings. What difference does it make what puppet you pick? You know what I mean? And that's how it works. Now, the puppets might sing different songs. Democrat, Democrat, democracy, Republican, Republican, conservatism. But when they go up to vote, they do as they're told. And so it's just that's really, really close to the way it operates. Why are we all up so early? I always get up this early, man. I'm just an early riser. That's just me. I've been this way since I was in the Army. Oh, Rumble works, Lake? I'm live on Rumble? Okay. Thank you, Lake. I appreciate that, man. Robbie Reese. Sick of the world. Yeah, you damn right, dude. Yeah, it's gone in a way that it's hard to stomach sometime. Yeah, y'all have puppets in the UK too. I believe it, dude. Yeah, I believe it, Robbie. But and then the thing about them, when they get up there, and then they want to, they act like they want to change things, right? Oh, I'm for change. We gotta change things. I'm for the poor person. But real change, someone who really wants to change shit, has to start at home, has to start with themselves. So our congressmen and senators and stuff, right? The first thing they should do, if they really wanted change, the first thing they would do is start putting term limits in Congress and in the House and shit like that. They wouldn't want, politicians, lifelong politicians up there bleeding our country dry. They would institute term limits, and they would take the ability to give themselves raises. They would take that out of Congress's hands. You know what I mean? You can't be up there forever until you die and just be able to give yourself a raise whenever you want, and then tell me that you're fighting for me. That's just complete bullshit. That is such complete bullshit that you know what I mean? None of y'all would believe that if I started talking that way. But the American population swallows that shit hook, line, and sinker. But instead of instituting change from themselves and letting it ripple out, they want me to change, right? They want to take half of what I got, half of, you got a poor middle class now, just a big poor class now. We don't even have a middle class anymore. We just have one big poor class. Some aren't as poor as others, right? But they want to take away from the upper poor, half of what they got, and give that to the lower poor, and so everybody's medium poor. That's their fix. That's the way they want to fix shit. They want to rob half the poor population and give it to the other half of the poor population. They want to rob the poor population who will actually get up and go to work and is barely scraping by, and give it to the other half that won't even do that, that won't even go to work. So that's the kind of shit that just burns my ass. And politician and the lies and the deceit, and I don't know what you call that. I don't have, that's not in my vocabulary, that word for that, where a person will demand that you sacrifice while I maintain my level of comfort, right? I'm going to take half your money and give it to somebody else while I go on an extra vacation this year. I need 3 vacations this year to some posh place in the Caribbean. I need to spend, a month and a half there this instead of a month this year, while you're breaking your ass and you haven't had a vacation in ever. I've never had a vacation. I've had to work constantly. I've never had a vacation. Never been able to take a vacation. Not once in my life have I gone to, somewhere nice and spent a week. Not once in my life. And I know there are a lot of people like me out there that have never even gotten to take a vacation. And these sons of bitches are up here. These politicians, they work something ridiculous like 80 days a year or something they actually work. So they're always on vacation. It's just insane. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, Democrat gaslighting. Yeah, Robbie, exactly. Tripwire feudalism. Yep, that's exactly what they want. Vintage hypocrisy. Yeah, maybe. Yeah, that's the word that I was looking for. It's just and hypocrisy kills me. Exactly. Bizarre Star. Everything needs to be transparent. They don't need to go up there and vote themselves in raises without letting the American people know. The American people should vote for that raise. And the population of every country should vote for their raises for their politicians, for their leaders. If you've done a good job, you get a raise. Yeah, hell, the economy's booming. We're doing great. Hell yeah, you deserve a raise. Imagine that shit. I'd be the CEO of some company if I could just vote myself a raise every time I want. I'd get a raise every damn month. Oh hell, I want to buy a boat. I need a raise. Hey, just tell the boss it's raise time, buddy. You know what I mean? It's just ridiculous. It's backwards. Yeah, Bucky. Yeah. Just needs a little bit of common sense and just a modicum of effort to find this shit out. Yeah, and these politicians I don't want to be too crazy with my my words, I don't want to seem too over the top with some of the shit I say, but politicians are the scum of the earth. That's just the truth. I don't think I'm being over the top there when I say that. I really don't. I think that's just factual speaking. They are the scum of the earth. They sell out our entire country. Countries, they are selling out Western civilization and robbing us blind. And they've been doing it for decades. JP. Hey, good to see y'all here. Yeah, when you're working crazy hours, dude, you see these politicians up there crying about bullshit and, knowing that they just voted themselves a raise and they've been sitting up there for 40 years doing absolutely nothing but robbing you blind, after a hard week, dude, that shit gets under your skin. Yeah, I've got about 3 seconds of tolerance to listen to that shit sometimes. Yeah, everybody needs to be held accountable. Who said that there? The thing flicked up before. Bizarre Start. Yeah, everyone should be held accountable. Me and you, Bizarre Star, we're held accountable for our damn actions. We're held accountable for the shit we do. If we screw up at work, if we tell our boss, hey, I'm going to do this, and then you turn around and do something completely different and screw him over, you're going to get fired. Period. How do these people get to stay up there for decades doing bullshit, underhanded, slimy shit? Oh, yeah, go to my boss and I tell him, oh, yeah, by the way, I'm going to knock this shit out for you. I'm going to make your life better. I'm going to make your life easier because I'm going to work so hard for you. And then I go in and I rob him, right? Oh, well, and then I blame somebody else. It was the Democrats. It was the Republicans. I tried not to rob you, but, yeah, you know how it is, dude. Give me another chance. How stupid would he have to be to give me another chance for 40 years? You know what I mean? But that's how society is. Society, I think it was that movie, Men in Black, where Tommy Lee Jones said, yeah, a person is smart, but people are stupid. A group of people are stupid, and that's how society is. Their society, a group of people the size of society, has the intellect of like a cockroach or something. You know what I mean? They're just stupid. We are just stupid. I'm not pointing fingers here. Just we as big groups of people are stupid. Yeah. A little surprise here, Joe P. I hope y'all enjoy my political rant here. Just me complaining about politicians pretty much. But I was actually hoping that somebody might stumble across this and get people to think about these politicians and how they get elected and why they do what they do, you know. So that was the thought going into this, but it has kind of turned into a rant. Just me bitching about politicians. Yeah, that's another thing. They send the poor man to war, and they don't go. Their kids don't go. You know, their kids aren't going to go fight in these wars. They're not going to go fight in these wars. So, yeah, that's another whole subject we could talk about. None of this stuff affects them, right? They're already, look at Nancy Pelosi's track record with the stock market. She's basically outperforming all of the hedge funds and all these experts in the stock market. She's just killing it in the stock market. And it just so happens that she has inside information on the laws they're about to pass that'll make stocks go down or up or whatever, and she knows it beforehand. So that's the kind of bullshit I'm talking about, and it's just insane, dude, the shit they're allowed to get away with. And then they will literally pass laws and exempt themselves from it. Yeah. You can't have 10 pounds of cocaine, but I can. If I get caught with 10 pounds of cocaine, then it's just, it's okay. They can't do anything to me. So that kind of duplicity there, they literally like think they're above us or better than us or something, instead of serving us like it was meant to be. And it's insane. Nah, you're defending Trump over there in Australia, Trip. Yeah, I think all of us have defended him at one time or another. April, good morning. Yeah, and then a lot of people see. I ask questions about Trump, right? Because I'm just, I don't know. I feel like a moron if it turns out that he's a complete fraud or something, and the wool was pulled over my eyes at the end of this thing, and he, so I don't know. I ask questions, but I support the dude. I voted for him 3 times. I won't pull any punches there. So if it does turn out that he's not what he says he is, and something, he's a deep state puppet or something, and a complete psyop, then I'm partially to blame for that. But I support him, and but I don't agree with all the shit he does, and I'm skeptical about the shit he does. Is that the whole bombing Iran thing, that brought up a lot of red flags in my head. You know what I'm saying? It just did, and I think anybody in their right mind should question that shit. Why the hell would you bomb Iran, dude? They weren't testing nukes over there. They didn't have any nukes, so why the hell? Just somebody told you they had nukes? They showed you a satellite image? Is that what did it? They can't fake satellite images. They can fake, Bigfoot and all this other shit online now, all these other pictures they have online, but they can't fake satellite images. The CIA is, that's just beyond their technology. They can't do that shit. So I have questions there. Why the hell would that dude within like 4 days decide to bomb another country? Off of what information? All right. And I brought it up before about the North Korean dictator, and Trump was calling him Rocket Man. That guy was firing rockets and testing rockets and shit over there. We all knew it. It was leading up to that, like a month before that. The guy was firing rockets and shit and doing all this shit. And Trump went over there and talked to him and worked it out. But this time with Iran, no rockets fired, no nuclear mushroom clouds, no testing or anything, nothing. Just complete silence, radio silence from Iran. And then all of a sudden, Trump's dropping bombs. That doesn't raise questions in anybody else's mind, even if you support Trump or hate Trump or whatever. But overall, I like the job he's doing. He's deporting illegal immigrants. I support that. I support most of what he's doing. But, yeah, Chaz. Yeah, me too. Yeah, he's all of our middle finger to the establishment. I just hope that it stays that way. That's where I'm at with that. I hope that he's just making a bad decision here and there, and it's not some kind of deeper planned out thing. No, we shouldn't. Bizarre Star, we shouldn't allow Iran to have nukes. I'm not saying that. But now, having said that, I'll say it again. Iran should not have nukes. But having said that, I still have to admit that my saying that is hypocritical while I'm living in a country with stockpiles of nukes. Russia has stockpiles of nukes. China has stockpiles of nukes. But we're going to sit around and tell everybody else they can't have nukes. Okay? Now, still, you've got to admit the hypocrisy of that. But now, having said that I'm a hypocrite for believing that Iran should not have nukes, I have to admit that to myself, okay? I've got to be honest with myself when I have that ability. Iran should not have nukes. We can all agree on that. But I think there should be evidence of Iran having nukes before we start dropping bombs on them. That's the only thing that I have there. That's my only argument there. Before we start dropping bombs on them, we should do. The entire world could have come together, the 5 biggest countries in the world, and just gone in there with a peaceful mission and said, hey, we're going to make sure you don't have any nukes. We heard you had nukes. Somebody showed us some shit and said you're building nukes. So we want to make sure. We're going to comb every inch of your country. We're going to deep LiDAR scan your shit to make sure you don't have any underground bunkers. If we find any, we're going to go down there and look. And then if you refuse to let us, then we're going to drop bombs. Something like that. You know what I'm saying? I am Pink Floyd. What's up, dude? Yeah, he's got a great way of saying things. You're right. Yep. Yeah, can you please show us your weapon of mass destruction? But no, I'm talking about go in there and scan that shit. They're scanning the jungles of South America for deep underground structures and stuff. They can do it to Iran. And if Iran refused to let us comb the entire country with planes, then drop a few $1 billion worth of bombs on them. Hell, try anything first. I don't care what. But bombs should not be the go-to answer to every problem, I don't think. Maybe I'm wrong. But we didn't bomb Korea when he started testing shit over there. We didn't bomb Korea. He went over there and diplomatically solved the shit, and the guy stopped. Well, still, yeah, I understand what you're saying, Bizarre Star, but still, if you, okay, let's say somebody murders someone and they go to we all know he's guilty, but they don't just go kill him, right? They don't just go put him in the electric chair. They have a due process, and they take him to court, and he has the right to be judged by a jury of his peers. Now, we all know, why waste the time? Why waste the time? Because it's the right thing to do. That's why. Because we're not we're better than that. We're human beings. We don't just skip a bunch of steps and go right to, killing the guy. We give him due process. The same thing should be held through every level of society. You know what I mean? Yeah. Parents don't just yank their kids in and beat them. They give the kid a chance to explain. Did you do that? Why did you do that? Okay, you understand now. So yeah, it's and I could be wrong. I'm not saying that I'm 100% right. I'm just saying, this is the stuff I think about, and these are the reasons that I have questions, and people get upset because I have questions. People get upset when I question Trump. Trump, and I get it, but I'm not saying Trump is a bad guy. I'm not saying Trump is a deep state or anything like that. I'm not saying any of that shit. I supported the guy. I still support the guy. I'm just saying some of the shit he does, raises questions in my head. I think there could be a better way of doing stuff. Yeah, Vintage says it there. Propaganda about Iran is strong, as was Iraq, Libya, and Syria. Same. We all remember the thing with Iraq, weapons of mass destruction. We went in there and invaded that damn country because they had weapons of mass destruction. And then it turned out there were no weapons of mass destruction. There were. All right. So, and that is why you have due process. That's why you do something else besides invade, besides drop bombs, besides, you try other methods first. And once everything else is exhausted, then you resort to the physical, the extreme measure. I don't know how many people died in that bomb dropping, but what if there's still another 40, because they've been trying to get, from what I've been told throughout my life, Iran has been on the verge of getting nuclear weapons for 40 years. They are really bad at getting nuclear weapons. They're just horrible at it. Bill Clinton didn't bomb them. Obama sent them $1 billion on a pallet. And, for decades there, they just had free reign to try to get nuclear weapons, and they failed. They were unable to do it. I don't know why. I'm not over there, never been over there, don't understand. I'm just saying I'm confused about it. It seems to me like in 40 years with all the technology we have and all the oil and money that Iran has, that if they really wanted nuclear weapons, that they'd have them by now. Maybe I'm just an ignorant ass handyman, but it seems that way to me. They're really bad at getting nuclear weapons. I think in 40 years with billions of dollars, I think I could get a nuclear weapon with that much time and money. I could figure it out, get the right scientists in there and, figure out how to get it done. But Iran seems unable to do it. And they get bombed. So I don't know. It's funny, dude. It's funny, man. That shit's crazy. Yeah, but they haven't tested one, Bizarre Star. They have to test one. There's got to be a mushroom cloud, dude. There's got to be some sign that they've tested a nuke. They have not tested a nuke in 40 years, dude. When Korea was over there with their little missiles, they got in trouble because they were testing them. I've seen countless videos of the testing that America and Russia and China has done. We've bombed islands and exploded nukes out in the sea doing our testing. They cannot just make a nuke like you can a birdhouse without testing it. You know what I'm saying? They've got to test it. And they have never tested a nuke. So they can't have a nuke without testing a nuke to make sure that the damn thing works. They've got to do testing, and they've never tested any. So I don't think they had nukes. That's my point. Maybe they were on the verge of getting nukes. They were. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that they're not trying to have nukes. I'm just saying that they don't have them yet. They're in that, maybe they were about to start testing. I don't know, but they haven't tested any as of yet. Well, yeah, no, they got to test, dude. You can't, unless they want to nuke themselves, they've got to do tests. Yeah. They wouldn't be a country very long if they dropped a dud of a nuke on New York or Russia, Moscow, and it just, or Beijing, China, and then it just flopped there like a damn, like a bar of soap or something, just laid there. Talk about dropping bombs. We'd turn that country into a sheet of glass in a weekend. We'd have so many planes flying over. So yeah, no, they got to be pretty sure that it's going to work when they drop that son of a bitch. I promise you that. They've got to test it. Yeah. Well, it's uh, the whole Iran propaganda thing. I think it's convoluted. I think that just and let me preface this with this statement here. This what I'm about to say is not due to intensive research or anything. This is just my common sense way that I think, what I call common sense. But what I've heard is that America government went in and installed, basically took out their Iran's government in the 50s and installed our own, and they have been paying the price for it ever since, because the dude we put in there was just a terror, a terror to the country. And so since then, Iran has been a problem. I'm not going to sit here and say that Iran hasn't been a problem, but if we had just left them alone, I don't think they would be a problem. I don't think they would. It's not like they're inherently trying to do all this stuff just because, right? Maybe they're fighting with Israel or whatever, but over their thing, but they don't hate America just because they hate America. They hate America because of the shit that we've done over there. That, not us personally, but the United States government has done over there. And when you screw with somebody like that, now a lot of the things that they do, I think, are out of retaliation or vengeance. You know what I mean? Not completely just because they're evil. Not, and you can go back and watch my video about Sharia law if you think I agree with any of that shit or anything. I made a video about Sharia law and how I feel about that. And so I don't think it's good. I don't think they're good, but I just don't think they're the organic terrorist group of people that they're painted to be to us in the West. You know what I'm saying? AF, good to see you here. Oh shit, I've been up for a couple hours. I'm an early riser, but it's convoluted. Well, like I said, Bizarre Star, I'm not saying that Iran is the soul of innocence or any of that shit, right? You wanna bomb the shit out of them, 100% of them, nothing organic on that damn, in the borders of that country, do it. Go ahead. Get rid of them. I don't give a shit. You know what I'm saying? I'm just saying that this kind of behavior raises questions in my mind. From our government. I'm questioning our government. I don't give a shit about Iran. They can all dry up and blow away. I don't give a shit. But if you're going to take care of a problem, take the damn hell care of it. Don't all this wishy-washy shit all the time. Go over there and drop a couple bombs and stuff and all this stuff. I just, if they do something to us, yes, That's that. Have you seen Minority Report? That's that pre-crime shit. All right. And when you start getting into that, you've got to ask questions. Can you punish someone before they drop the bomb? All right. Can you go in there and decimate a country before they drop a bomb in preemptive defense? Is that cool? If that's cool, then shit. Okay, let's bomb everybody, just in case they might drop a bomb on us. And I'm not saying that in defense of any. Bomb them. I don't care, But I'm more concerned with how much those bombs are affecting. My tax money goes to pay for those damn bombs. I care more about that than I do about Iranians. I'm just being honest. I don't care. Bomb them. But the reasons for bombing and my government's reasons they're giving me and all this shit, that's the stuff I question. I'm not defending Iran, but I'm just saying that the politicians lie. The politicians suck, and they do shit for reasons that we don't know, and they lie to us about why they do shit. That's all. That's my point. Hell, I could give a shit less what happens to Iran. I don't want them to have nukes any more than anybody else. Yeah, I'm not saying that they don't hate America, dude. I'm not saying that either. They hate America more than I hate politicians, probably. But I'm saying the only thing I said was that they have a reason to hate America. Why doesn't America just leave them the hell alone? Why are we over there in the Middle East? Why do our veterans have experience over there? It shouldn't even be a thing. Why were they over there in the 50s destabilizing their government and shit? You know what I'm saying? They shouldn't have been over there. And it's all due to this banking. Because we owe the bank $37 trillion and they're pulling the strings on our politicians. That's why all this shit is happening. Yeah. Yeah, they're sending us over there, and we're not even sure why. And they won't just let us go over there and and actually win. You know what I mean? If they would just unleash all of our military might on a situation at once and fix it permanently, I would be in total and complete agreement. But they want to go over there and diddle around, and in my opinion, if that kind of shit happens and they're a threat to America or whatever, then we go over there and we make that bitch the 51st state. That's it. That's how you settle shit. That's how you protect America. But that goes back to the old days. I'm a throwback there, where they would just invade and take the damn place. But that just makes more sense to me, instead of fiddling around for a couple years and then pulling back, and our veterans die and come back wounded and all this stuff, and we still have the same problem. So I would just rather see a longer term solution. Yeah, I've got no problem with that. Make it punishable to threaten the United States. Yes. Make it punishable to, any of that shit. Death to the United States. If you're holding a death to the United States, death to America flag or sign inside the American border, you go to jail. Yeah, get deported. Yeah, there are going to be consequences. Yep. Yeah, bizarre stuff. That's what I'm talking about. All this mealy mouth, Mickey Mouse bullshit. You know what I mean? You go in there and you fiddle around. They send us over there, our troops over there, with our hands tied behind our back, and we can't do what needs to be done. We go over there thinking we're going to do what needs to be done, but we don't. We don't get to. We got to, stand down and all these rules and shit. We need to go over there in force. And hell, I'm serious. I'd turn Iran into the 51st state if they were that much of a threat. They wouldn't be a threat anymore. They'd be Americans paying they'd be proud to be paying their taxes just like we are. They'd be over there. I'd send our rednecks over there to colonize that shit. It'd be a bunch of big jacked up 4-wheel drives rolling around through the desert. Turn that bitch into Mad Max. I swear I would. Yeah. Yeah, I don't. It denied Iran nuclear enrichment for another 5 to 10 years. Israel is safer. All right, that makes sense. Yeah, tax money. That's the whole thing. I could do a whole. Y'all have heard me preach about money, and that it's not real. People think I'm crazy when I say that kind of shit. Money isn't real. Oh, yeah. Yeah, Bizarre Star, you're right about that. Our military might, people just don't understand about what a force our military might is in the world. We literally could just, I don't even want to say it. I'll get kicked off of YouTube. But yeah, people don't understand how strong America is militarily. But we don't use it. They send Americans over there, American troops over there, and then tie their hands behind their back. So, just camp out in the desert there for months on end, and when patrol and shit, it's just ridiculous when you could go in there and just end it overnight in a weekend. Just carpet bomb the entire country for a week and then send in the tanks and the infantry to sift through the rubble. I mean, America could do that and have that shit wrapped up in 10 days. I mean, that's well easily within our scope of power. Yeah, LJ, militarily, yeah, if I don't know what the hell is with yeah, rednecks in the desert. But yeah, I don't know, but you have all the political whatever, the politics, the overseas politics and the world politics and stuff, and there's so much manipulation by the banking industry and all this, and the stock market and the military industrial complex, and so it's they make it so convoluted, they make simple things so convoluted that we must have questions about them. Okay, because we can never know the actual real thing that's going on. All right? We never know. There's been probably decades of lobbying and bribery and blackmail and shit that lead up to any of these big events. So it's so hard to say, I get on here and I talk about stuff that I think is crazy or think sounds weird or whatever. But I'm just trying to figure shit out. I'm just a normal ass working dude, and I'm just trying to figure this world out and what the hell is going on. So yeah, Trip. Yeah, it's better to fight there than at home, but at the same time, in my opinion, for the United States anyway, we're strong enough that if we just drew a lot of that back and just protected our home, nobody would mess with us. We're just overextended. I mean, to go out overseas once in a while and aid an ally or something, once every 20 years when somebody needs it or something like that, that's great. Okay. But America is constantly embroiled in these overseas shenanigans all the time. It's never ending. And we must pay for it with our tax money. We are now throwing our tax money, almost half of our paycheck in a lot of cases, into this black hole of debt so that we can go over there and muddle around in these gray areas of political intrigue and stuff. You know what I'm saying? These weird wars that maybe there's a reason for, dropping bombs and this, and it's costing Americans money. They keep raising our taxes to pay for this shit. And so it's just hard for me to totally condone any of this overseas stuff anymore. We Americans, the United States citizens, are getting tired of this shit. We're tired of seeing our money sent overseas. Yeah, for any reason, whether it be war or economic aid or transgender comic books in Venezuela or whatever the reason is. We're just sick of it. Yeah, I've heard that before, AF, about guys who are about to retire get dishonorably discharged after years of honorable service. They get discharged or dishonorably discharged just before retirement. Yeah. Yeah, Bizarre Star. Me too. I'm for Trump, dude. I'm with him. I agree with probably about 90% of what he does. I just can't help but be skeptical, and maybe for my own well-being, my own mental well-being. I've got to question even that which I believe in wholeheartedly and support wholeheartedly, because I don't want to find myself just blindly following anything. I don't care even if it's 100% true and right. I don't want to blindly follow it. I have to question. I have to just for the sake of my own soul and my own mind and my own consciousness, I just cannot be a blind follower. All right? For my own sanity, for my own sense of self-worth. I can't find myself in that, fall into that trap. I have to question. Even if it's right, 100% right, I have to question it before I follow blindly. Because I see all these people out there following this woke shit blindly, and even no matter what it is, I don't want to be in that. I don't want to be on that side of the fence. I don't want to find myself following without conscious questions and decision making. You know what I'm saying? I want to be conscious and rational about what I'm doing, not just being another sheep in the herd, even if it's the right herd. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if I'm explaining myself correctly, but hopefully you get what I'm saying. Yeah, they don't, Chaz. They don't. Yeah, they don't need our tax money. It's just straight, it's control. That's a whole different subject, dude, about money. Money isn't even real. It has no value except what we give it. The only value that money has is in our minds. And it's not even money, it's just control. They've like made control a currency that we trade among ourselves, and we give it this imaginary value, and they don't print money anymore. I mean, they do print money, but it's just a tiny percentage of the money now. But the vast majority of money is just manifested online, right? It's just manifested in the ether of the internet, and it's just dots on a screen. It's just pixels, digits on a screen. There's nothing real to it. It doesn't really exist except in our minds. So, yeah, they don't need our money at all. Yeah, Bizarre Star. Yeah, that's where I'm coming from. I don't want to blindly go into anything, so I question even the stuff that I think is right. Even if I think it's right to bomb Iran, I question it. You know, I'm not saying it's wrong to bomb Iran. I'm saying that I have to question it, because I can't be the sheeple. I can't do that. I just can't do that to myself. I'm aware. I'm awake. I'm a conscious human being. You know, I'm not an animal for the slaughter or for the harvest. Oh, thanks, Bizarre Star. See, that's how, me and you, we were trying to explain to each other and stuff, and neither one of us got mad. I kind of said that about on the live stream last night, that we do this, we Gen X getting on here and disagreeing and working through this stuff. We're proof to the world that it can be done. We were talking about religion last night, and nobody got mad and signed off and started typing all kind of hateful stuff. We all just we tried to understand the other person's perspective and learn. That's all we can do from each other is learn, unless we get all butthurt and defensive and offended and storm off, and start screaming insults. But we can learn from each other and learn how to cope in this world, and learn how not to be sheep. Even if we know we're on the right side of the fence. You know what I'm saying? So, but I love our Gen X mentality and how we can not get offended, but we still respect each other. And even if we do say something, out of line, we don't get offended by it. Oh well, you know what I'm saying? It's cool. We don't care. I don't care. Whatever, dude. It's just awesome. The rest of the world should be Gen X. They'd be so much happier. The world would be such a better place if we were all Gen X. Ain't all right? Yeah, the military-industrial complex. That's like this thing that's AF. It's hardly ever talked about. You don't hear about it very often, but it wields so much power in our country and in our politics. Yeah, Bizarre Star. We're on the same page, dude. And part of the any misunderstanding is probably, the responsibility for it is probably my fault. I take responsibility because I'm not verbalizing how I actually feel in a way to get it across to y'all, the way in the best way so you understand it clearly. So any misunderstanding is almost definitely on my fault, Yeah. Yeah, Bizarre Star. Yeah, we don't have to agree on everything, but we've got the same mindset. Yep, exactly. South Park episode, yeah. I love South Park. Whenever somebody brings up South Park, I remember when they went and looked for the sea people, remember? That episode, that shit cracked me up. They go out and they start looking for seamen. Yeah. Yeah, Tripwire, that's what I'm saying, dude. We could all sit down, drink, smoke, whatever, and just iron shit out, and in 2 hours we would solve the world's problems if we had the opportunity, and the world would be a better place. I mean, for a long time. All right, Bizarre Star, I got you, man. I'm glad to hear it, dude. XRP, I think XRP is a cryptocurrency, LJ. Ah, cool, Bizarre Star. Yeah, I'm glad you signed in here, dude. That's been a good conversation. Yeah, and that's why I love doing these live streams. I wish I could do more of them. Well, I could, but I I put it up for a vote when I did the live streams throughout the week, and people preferred the edited versions, my edited videos, most of the people. So I went ahead and followed the subscribers' wishes and went back to edited videos through the week, and then I do my live streams on the weekend. So this is kind of a one-off thing. Blurt it out and refine it later, huh, JP? Yeah. 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 Yeah, these live streams though are awesome. We have some really great conversations. I love these things. But these live streams are where I get in trouble though. Is I'll start talking about stuff, and then I'll get a a gig from YouTube. YouTube would tell me that I was being bad, talking about the weather and stuff. So I'm not allowed to talk about the weather or the amount of people on the planet. I can't talk about that either. Not allowed to. You reloading again, dude? Chaz, constantly reloading, man. That's good though. If that's your thing, you do it, dude. Go at it, man. You were reloading through the whole live stream last night. That shit cracks me up. Yeah, me neither, AF. I don't. I've tried it, a handful of times throughout my life. Most of them were in my younger years, but it just, I don't know. I have zero tolerancy for it, and I'm just completely out of it. It goes from 0 to blitzed, completely blitzed out of my mind, no control, just on Planet 9 for hours, and I just end up praying. I sit there praying for it to end. So it's just not my thing. I understand that a lot of people like it, and I endorse it. Hell, if it helps, because I think it's better than a lot of pharmaceutical drugs. I'd rather see people turn to that than a lot of pharmaceuticals, to be honest. Hookers from '92. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, a copyright strike. Yeah. Cheech and Chong. Oh, yeah, those were great movies. You like the streams better? All right, AF. Yeah, well, to be honest, I'm when I first started doing the live streams, I tried them throughout the week. So I don't know, maybe we'll put up a poll again, because I've kind of refined this now. I'm getting used to doing the live streams. My first live streams probably sucked for all, I thought I was doing a great job, but hopefully I've gotten better at the live streams since then. They're probably more enjoyable now. Well, I hope, like I said, I hope they are. Yeah, oh yeah, I think everything is genetically modified now, LJ. You taking off Bizarre Star? How long have I been? I don't even know how long. Oh, okay. Yeah, I think time to wrap this up anyway. So, don't panic, it's organic. Yeah, Chaz. All right, so I need to wrap this up anyway. So, thanks for hanging out during like I said, I don't know how many of you have been watching from the beginning, but this Monday live stream was kind of just a test, because I didn't have time to record and edit a video over the weekend because I worked so much. And then I figured out how to stream to Rumble at the same time. So I kind of wanted to do that to see if I could get that to work, which Laic told me it was working on Rumble, so that's awesome. But so those are two reasons why I did a live stream today. I wasn't going to post anything today, but I ended up doing this live stream, and then we ended up having a really great conversation about politics. So I'm really, really glad I did it. And thank you to everyone. Let me start kicking off some names here. I like to say thank you to everybody. I don't know how much, if this is irritating to y'all or not, but I feel like I need to do it. Y'all took your time to show up. Tripwire, Bucky, Jeff 7, LJ, Chaz, Bizarre Star. I think he's already gone though. AF. Vintage. Who else we got? Is that everybody? I am Pink Floyd. Robbie Ross, or Robbie Reese rather. April Lucas. I hope I got everybody. If I missed your name, please forgive me. Did I say Laic? I forget if I said Laic or not. Laic, my boy out of Norway. JP. So if I forgot your name, I apologize, but thank you all for watching. Thank you for showing up and hanging out with me and chewing the fat with me for a little bit. I really love these things, man. These live streams are awesome. I love hanging out with y'all. All right. And I'll leave you there with that. And as always, stay frosty, Gen X, and I'll see you on the next one.